To get started with QuickBooks Online Payroll and set up employees and pay items, from the Payroll window, click Get Started. Answer the question, have you paid employees in the current year? Then click Next. Now answer the question, when is your first payday with QuickBooks? Click Next. QuickBooks asks us for our first location, so we'll click Next here. And who your payroll contact will be. And then click Next. Now we need to tell QuickBooks about our team, so we'll click Start, and then we'll click Add an Employee. We'll enter the name of the employee, and we'll enter their email address as needed here. We'll enter their hire date, and then you can give them the option to self-onboard through QuickBooks Workforce, or I'll enter all their info myself. In this example, we're going to choose option 2 and give you a quick demonstration on how to do that. If you choose option 1, the person will have to enter that information online, and in environment setting for education, it's not optimal, so we recommend option 2. Then we'll click Add Employee. And now we'll go through a variety of steps here to add the information. So we'll click Edit next to Personal Info. We'll make sure that all of this information is correct. We have to enter their street address here. And then we'll enter their birth date. And other details about them. And we'll enter their social insurance number. And then we can click Save. And that starts the process of setting up the employee. Next, we'll click Edit next to their employment details, and we'll enter any details here. So we can set up the pay schedule here. So we'll click Add Pay Schedule. We'll say that she is getting paid twice a month. The first payday is the 15th. Now it asks for some details about the end of the first pay period. So we'll say that it is the same month, but is going to be on the 10th of the month. So the pay period will be from the 26th to the 10th. Now the second pay period of the month is going to be the end of the month, the same month, but then it will be the 26th, or rather the 25th. And then we can give the pay schedule a name. We'll say twice a month or semi-monthly. And you can choose this selection, use this pay schedule for employees you would add after this one. This is a good idea to save the students from having to set up more than one pay schedule. They can just use the same one going forward. So then we click Save. And now we can add other details that are not required, but we can add who the manager is, the department, their job title, their ID number, and if they need a billing rate per hour. We typically don't talk about that in these QuickBooks courses. So then finally we click Save, and that adds the details for the employment details. Next we can click on the tax withholdings, click Edit. These numbers right here will automatically default to the federal amount and the provincial amount of where the employee is based, so you won't have to change these at all. You can always edit these if someone has a different TD1. But in an education setting, typically not going to change there. And then there are some tax exemptions that you can select down here. Typically, they're not going to be selected, so you don't have to worry about those. We'll click Save. Next, we choose to start next to the payment method. So in the education setting, we'll choose paper check. Otherwise, we could choose direct deposit. That's not going to work in this case because it provides banking information for both the company as well as the employee. So in our setting, we'll just choose paper check to keep it simple. And then we'll click Save. Next, we'll choose Start next to Pay Types. This is where we're going to set up the different pay types for the employees. So the first pay type is hourly. You also have salary and commission. So we'll choose hourly to keep it simple, and we'll enter our hourly rate. And then we'll enter, if we want to have a set working hours per day, we can choose that here. We won't do that. We'll just enter those on the paycheck. We can also add additional pay types. So if you want different pay types, you can add them here. And then under common pay types, you'll select the options that apply. So if you're paying overtime, we'll select that here. If you're paying bonuses, commissions, you can add that detail here. So if you want to change the commission to a different name, we'll call it sales commission. We can add that here. And it's a very simple pay item. You're simply going to put in a dollar value there. It's not going to have any complex calculations based on units or percentages. It's just going to be a dollar value that you enter. You'll see there are other elements allowed, so allowances, reimbursements, taxable benefits. You can add any of those details as needed. We keep it very simple in this course just to make sure that the payroll is very easy. So we'll click Save here and add these pay items. Now, just a quick note for you instructors, anything that is selected here will display on the paycheck. You don't have to put values in there, but they will default on the paycheck so that you can add overtime pay, bonuses, sales commissions, etc. So we'll click Save, and that saves that list of pay items. Next, we have time off. So we'll click Start here. And we have vacation policies at the top. So we'll choose a vacation policy. Now we'll go with the standard one. So we'll choose 4% accrued time for hours worked. And then you can add the vacation rate right here. So you can do whatever works for your industry. The standard one is listed here, but if there are additional rates for different industries or business types, you can override that here. You can choose how the hours are accrued. And you can choose use this vacation policy for employees you add after this one. That's always recommended to save time going forward. You also have the ability to add a sick pay policy. So you can click the drop down here and you can choose add new sick pay policy. You can tell QuickBooks how the hours are accrued. So let's suppose that an employee gets 3 days per year. You can choose at the beginning of the year. You can enter the number of hours. So let's enter 24 hours. And then we click Save. And that now becomes the default policy for this employee and anyone going forward for those 24 hours. You also have additional options to set up unpaid time off. You can add a new unpaid time off policy, and you can configure that around your business. We won't do that in this example, but that's an option that's available. And then we'll click Save, and QuickBooks adds the time off policy. Next, you see that there's deductions and contributions. So we're going to click Start here, and there's a variety of items that we can set up here. So with the recent changes to the Canadian Dental Care Plan, you'll find information up here at the top. If you want to add a deduction or contribution, you'll click this link here. And then we'll choose the first one. Let's say that we want to enter health insurance. So we'll click the drop down, we'll choose private health care, and let's suppose that we just want to enter a dental benefit. So we'll enter the details here. We can enter whether it's a flat amount or a percent of gross pay or per hour worked. This is going to be a flat amount, so let's say that this is going to be, keep it simple, $100 per paycheck, and we can enter an annual maximum if we want. Then if there's a component where the company is going to contribute, you can enter that here. So let's say the company contributes $150. We'll do that here, and you can click Save. Now, let's suppose that the company was contributing all of it. You can also just take this and make this 0 or click none. And then you can enter here, let's say this is 250. So that might be a way of configuring it just for the company contribution as though there was no employee deduction. So you can configure in whatever way that works for the business you're setting up. So we'll click save, and that adds that as a dental benefit. If we click add deduction contribution again, we can click the drop down. Let's suppose we want to set up a retirement plan. We'll choose that. We'll select registered retirement plan, and we'll just enter RRSP here. And let's suppose that the employee is going to be deducting $100 per paycheck. So we'll do flat amount and we'll do $100. And you might enter an annual maximum. Maybe they only want to contribute $2,500. You can enter that there. And then let's suppose the company is going to match that. So we'll choose flat amount and they're going to do 100 as well. Their annual maximum is going to be 2,000, and that will stop contributing at that dollar amount. So we're automating these pay items by adding them to the employee record. So anytime that you want to add something to an employee's paycheck, you'll go into the employee, add it to their employee record, and then it will be added to their paycheck, and you can enter the values as you go. So a lot of the payroll work that you're going to do in your class will be setting up payroll. So we'll click save here, and then we'll click done, and that saves our benefits. Finally, we have our emergency contact. You can add that as needed for your employees. And then we'll click done, and that sets up our first employee.